Okay, welcome to Herding Little Cows to the Glory of God. This is my second video. And you have to excuse any shaking or moving of the camera because our camera stuff is outside or ready for the eclipse. So I'm holding it in my hand, and as you can see, I have my towel on because I just took a shower and all of that stuff. So if it's shaky, it's all my fault. Don't blame my videographer because it's myself today. Normally there's someone else videotaping me. So anyway,
You should normally blame the videographer?
yes, normally blame the videographer, but I'm giving him a pass this time. So anyway, I was just going to do a video about having babies after 40. I've had people asking me questions and I've been thinking about this. I have a good friend who just made a video about this on her channel. And so I just thought I'd kind of share some of my thoughts, and they're kind of all random thoughts. So anyway, first thing, I am pregnant with number 10. I am 34 weeks pregnant. I am 41 years old. So this is my first pregnancy after, well, it's my second pregnancy after 40. I had a miscarriage a little less than a year ago. And then we got pregnant right away afterwards. So this is my second pregnancy after 40. I have had a total of 4 miscarriages. Yes. Mm-hmm. I'm trying to count up the numbers. But they've been
3 miscarriages and stillbirth.
okay, sorry, 3 miscarriages. That's why I was confused. 3 miscarriages, and we lost a baby at full term. But they were all spread out, and we never got testing or anything of why those were miscarriages, because they were spread out, and so there's not a reason to believe that there's something actually like wrong with my body, just that there was something wrong with baby or implantation or something that caused baby not to grow. They say that 1 in 4 births ends, like 1 in 4 pregnancies ends in miscarriage. And so it's not unreasonable to think that out of my 10 pregnancies, like when I say 10 pregnancies, that includes my stillborn, but it doesn't include the miscarriages. So out of 13 pregnancies, I've lost 4 to miscarriage. And yeah, it's a hard thing, but I think that it's not something that's a problem with my body that I need to do something differently with. So anyway, I know some people who, as they get older, they have had more miscarriages. I know some people who, as they have gotten older, have found themselves to be more fertile and have had more healthy pregnancies. So I don't think that that's blamed just on age. From the few people I've talked to, that have babies over 40, not the few people, but the people I've talked to that have babies over 40, a lot of them have found that their pregnancy after 40 is actually easier. I have found that I have less nausea with all my babies after 35. So I've had 1, 2, 3, 4. This is my 4th one. 4th full-term pregnancy. I'm counting this one full-term. I'm 34 weeks. After we have a little grumpy guy. Naomi, if he wants a string cheese, he can have one. So anyway, we've had babies after 35, which is when they consider you advanced maternal age. And I've been healthier with those pregnancies than I was for my first. I've heard a lot of people saying that when your body is 40, it is hard to, because you're older, it's harder to carry a pregnancy. It is harder to move around and do the things. You have more aches and pains and all of that stuff. I have not found that to be the case. I have found that I think there's a couple different reasons. My diet is much better. The past 4 have had gestational diabetes, and I have to just eat differently. I don't go on medication or anything because it hasn't been that serious, but it's to the point that I just need to watch what I eat. So my diet has been a lot healthier with these babies. Also, what we've been able to afford as a family food-wise has gotten better. With my first pregnancy, I was 20, and we had a very limited budget and I didn't know how to cook. So we ate a lot of mac and cheese, we ate a lot of ramen noodles, and I went back to work when we first got married to McDonald's because Mark was having his disability issues and I could get very cheap food at McDonald's. And so I ate a lot of McDonald's that pregnancy. And so that pregnancy, while she was healthy, like, and she was born, I had a difficult pregnancy, which has continued into my other pregnancies. I was very nauseous and threw up a lot with my girls up until 35. All of my girls, I was very sick, threw up multiple times a day, and felt better after I was, after I threw up, I would feel good for about an hour and I could go do things and then I'd throw up again. With my boys, I felt really, really nauseous and just wanted to throw up all day long. With the last 4 pregnancies, I have days where I feel really nauseous and then I have days where I'm not nauseous at all and I can go about just doing regular life activities, which was not the case for all those babies before 35. I also think that I just take better care of myself. I think when I was young, I felt like I was just invincible and that nothing was going to slow me down, But I think that it's very important for a pregnant mom. I'm not saying to change everything that you do. I'm saying it's important to remember that you're pregnant and to take that into account when you're doing things. So if you're somebody who likes to go hiking, I'm not saying you need to totally take that out when you're pregnant. Just remember, oh, I'm hiking. I need to make sure I take extra water because I need to stay hydrated. I need to make sure that I'm eating well. I need to make sure that I'm not putting extra stress on my body that doesn't need to be there. So maybe that's doing, and it might be different for different people. Maybe that's doing an easier hike. Maybe that's doing more stretching before you go. I don't know what it is. I'm just saying that I think we feel like we should just be able to continue just doing what we had done before as a pregnant person. And I think we just need to remember our limitations. So for some people, that is, I can't look right now, okay? You can show them. Huh? Can you ask Daddy? He has a daddy in the other room that he walked by to come ask me the question. So for some people, that is, they work on a farm and they're regularly toting heavy food bags and that type of thing. And so just remember you're pregnant. For me, I don't carry really heavy loads all the time, my toddlers. But other than that, I don't carry really heavy loads all the time. So I wouldn't start carrying those heavy loads in this pregnancy. And if something came up that something heavy needed to be moved, I would make accommodations for someone else to move that. Again, not saying you can't do anything while you're pregnant. I think that we just forget that our body is doing an amazing work by growing a baby and doing all the stretching and moving of organs and all the stuff that our bodies do during that time, and to give ourselves grace that we don't really have to do everything. I also think that I allow myself more rest time. Like there's times in early pregnancy where you sit in one place for too long and you fall asleep. But I think that allowing your body to rest is really good. And so I take more time now to take a rest because I know something's going to be busy instead of waiting until I crash to do that rest. So like the other day we were going to go in town, to like the big city, which is 2 hours away, because we had a doctor's appointment. And we also on that same day had a Bible study at church. So I just knew it was going to be a long day. So the day before I prepped things so that in the afternoon, the kids could be entertained while I got a nap. I know that's not always possible for people. It might not be a nap. It might just be laying down and resting. It might be playing quiet games with the kids instead of taking them to the park. But just giving yourself the opportunity to rest, knowing that your body takes extra work to do this. Do you see my hair? The towel's fallen off. I don't mind that you see my hair. It's just my hair's a little crazy right now. So anyway, I think that is another importance in my 40s of why I feel better is because I give myself grace to rest, to eat well, to just do the things that I know. I take into account that my body's doing a very special work. So anyway, I I think that there are different aches and pains when you are older, depending on how you take care of your body. But my body has been pregnant more, like pregnant or nursing, more than it hasn't. And so my body, I really just take into account that I need to heal in between those times that I'm pregnant. So after we have a baby, I take 6 weeks, and I did not do this at the start. I really wish I had, because knowing that we were going to be leaving our fertility up to God, and knowing that we could have a lot of children, I wish I had been doing this from the start. But when we first got married, we really weren't even planning the first one when we had her, Virginia. And I've told that story on other videos, but we were on birth control because Mark had a disability, and we got pregnant on the birth control. So we weren't even planning her at the start. And while she is very much loved, and I'm very glad that God used that to help change our minds about him being in charge of our fertility, it wasn't planned. So I didn't do all of this research that I've done with all these kids now. But I think it's really important to let your body rest. And for different people, that's going to look different, just kind of like the exercise thing before. But for myself, I have the ability to take 6 weeks to really recover. And it doesn't mean that I don't do anything here at the house, but because we've put good systems in place since my kids were little and I have older kids, I'm able to have other people do a lot of the work around the house. And so that's not saying that I'm like a slave driver, but even if Mark were not home, because Mark's home, for those who don't know, Mark's home on disability, out of work. But even if he weren't here, the systems we have in place, my 16-year-old, 14-year-old, and 9-year-old. So our 11-year-old is in there also, but he has seizures. And so some days he's not as helpful as the other kids. I just can't rely that he's going to be able to do his chores every day. But the 14-year-old, 16-year-old, and 9-year-old are all very good about doing their chores. And so like laundry, I very rarely touch any of the laundry because of the systems we have in place here. It gets done every day just by different kids having different parts of that laundry cycle. And then they get to actually listen to something, which they really like. They listen to Adventures in Odyssey while they have a folding party every couple days, and laundry gets put away. And so it's not something that I have to even think about before baby, like while I'm prepping all that stuff for getting that rest. I don't have to worry about that when baby's coming, because it's already something that's established. We made a whole bunch of meals for the freezer. So even if I had just my 9-year-old, she'd be able to get food out and warm it up for the rest of the family, because all the cooking part of it has been done. So she would just have to do the warming up and getting out the sides type thing. So we have like taco meat, we have chili, we have enchiladas and lasagnas all put in the freezer. So after baby, I can sit in a chair and I can direct and say, hey, Abigail, can you go grab that lasagna from the freezer and put it on the counter? And later we're going to cook it. So I think it's important to put things in place so that you can find those times to rest, even if you only have little ones at home. Maybe that's just prepping your freezer so that you can be on your feet less when it comes time to actually making the meal, if your kids aren't old enough. So yeah, we've been working on those things to get ready. But I think that has helped being pregnant in my 40s too, because we just have worked hard to establish these good systems with the kids. Also, I take time during the not being pregnant stage to try to get my body in good health. We regularly eat a fairly good diet. Not that we never have snacks and stuff like that. We regularly eat a fairly good diet. And I know that the past 4 pregnancies, I've had trouble with gestational diabetes. And so I try to eat well. Sorry if the shaking. I try to eat well, low carb, and that helps my body. I actually have not gained weight this pregnancy, even though baby is gaining just fine. But because I've taken out carbs, I actually have lost weight. If you don't know me, I have weight to lose. It's okay. But and the midwife's not worried about it, but I've actually lost weight because I'm not eating a bunch of bread or cookies or those types of things. So my body is actually healthier these past 4 pregnancies because I'm not putting on excess weight that I put on with my first, when I thought, oh, you're pregnant, so you eat for 2. You don't really have to eat for 2. You have to eat and make sure you have enough nutrition, but you don't really have to eat for 2. It's a very dangerous cycle to think that I can eat twice as much pizza because I'm pregnant, which is not the case. And I think also I have worked hard to use my body in ways that are beneficial for my, my strength in like my back and my core, and also for baby's positioning during pregnancy, which has helped to keep my body in alignment and things like that while I'm pregnant, as opposed to things that I didn't think about with my first. So with this baby, I'm much more intentional. The last couple of babies, I've been much more intentional about sitting up straight, not slouching so much while I'm pregnant, making sure that I'm sitting on exercise ball. Like I have to start doing that now that I'm at the end of pregnancy, to just get baby in the right position, making sure I'm seeing the chiropractor, making sure that when I walk, I'm thinking about my posture and just keeping myself in the best shape possible for baby. I think that we tend to, or at least for me, I tend to not be very good about taking care of myself. But when I'm pregnant, I'm very attentive to taking care of the baby that's inside. And so, oh, my little guy came back. So I think that all of those things have led to me feeling better as an older mom after 35 than I did with my other pregnancies. I also wanted to address, because I've had a couple of people ask about like health concerns once you're past 40 or 35 or whatever. I believe that doctors are a good thing. So please do not hear me say that I'm against doctors. But I know that I trust God more, and I trust how he's made women's bodies to carry babies and to birth babies more than I think doctors have been taught to trust our bodies when we're pregnant. So I think there's very much a reliance on ultrasounds, and we should, have a baby by this date because the ultrasound says you're this far along. If there's no medical reasons for mom to deliver that baby other than we think that she's carrying the baby too long, I think that our bodies are made to carry a baby exactly as long as God wants us to. I think that our bodies are made to carry babies that God wants to bring in this world, even if they have a disability or something like that, where a lot of people would say it's an okay time to abort this baby because we found a problem. A lot of times something is found that this would be more convenient if you had a baby at this point, or wouldn't it be easier to have a baby before this date, for whatever reason. I think that women's bodies are made to carry babies, and I think that God has made women to be very in tune with our bodies if we choose to be. I think God gives us our cycles for a reason. He gives us our hormone levels. He gives us our feelings about, like, not feelings like emotions, but like I've had a couple babies where I knew I conceived. One specifically, like I knew the night I conceived. I knew I was pregnant. And I think that that is from God. And I think that if we paid more attention to the natural cycles that God has given our body and just pay more attention to God, we would be more willing to wait and assess things than being so reliant on the medical community. And I say this for myself too, because there are things that I definitely want different in this birth than I've had in other births, where I want to listen to my body more of when things are ready and when I should go to the hospital and when I should push and all those things, because I don't feel I need the midwife to tell me. But sometimes in the midst of it, it gets to the I don't know. I need someone to tell me what the right thing to do. But anyway, so those are my thoughts on having baby past 35 or 40 or whatever. I think that God has given each woman the ability to bear the child that to birth the child that God has put in her womb. And God's going to put that baby in there when he's ready for that. And so for some women, we're going through Genesis right now. For Sarah, she was very, very old before God blessed her with a baby. And then there's other women who get blessed right away after marriage. There's some women who God never gives a baby to and blesses in a lot of other ways. So I think that it's just very important to focus on God in the midst of all of it, even if you're an older mother, which, because I'm an older mother, they want to do all kinds of things with ultrasounds and things just because of my age, not because there's actually something wrong with baby. We do keep a good eye on baby and make sure that things are okay, but I don't think just because I'm older that's a problem. So anyway, those are my thoughts. We will see you guys next time on Herding Little Cows to the Glory of God.